A busy morning, a lot to talk about with this winter storm rolling through the high country. Our second storm of the week. Earlier this week, several inches of snow came down throughout the high country in the Summit County area. Now we're closing the week with a very similar storm that has dropped several inches of snow. We're about 9,000 feet, about 4 inches of snow. Higher elevations have seen well over a foot this week of snow from these two rounds that have come through, really helping with the state's snowpack, which has been really dismal due to the dry, warm conditions, but is starting to look a lot better as we wrap up October. Certainly not as scary as we head into October, which, look at this, looks a lot more like the middle of winter here in Breckenridge. Just a spectacular view at the Blue River right there, and this snowfall coming down here in Breckenridge. It is just a wonderland here in the high country, and great news for ski areas. Only A Basin's open right now. They've got several inches of snow from this storm, but other ski areas are trying to open. Copper Mountain here in Breckenridge will open up later in November. They've done well out of this storm with about 5 inches of snow, and it is still coming down. So that's good news. Will help snowmakers as they start to try to get more terrain open for those opening days. Gary and Corey, the big ski area of the day, though, Keystone, because they're opening tomorrow. They've got about 4 or 5 inches of snow out of this storm, and this is certainly going to help make that opening day a lot nicer and look like it should look winter in the high country with Keystone opening tomorrow. It is just beautiful up here.
That is
spectacular.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
It really is.
Really nice shots this morning. It's very Christmassy, getting me in the mood.
Jingle all the way.
There you go. All right. On that note, thanks, Matt. Now is a good time to make sure you have the 9 News app, or you would have missed that. It can be downloaded. You can get live weather updates on the go, radar, forecast. It is free at the Apple and Google Play stores. Well, October is Domestic Violence Month, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and as the month comes to a close, we're taking a look at some numbers from Safe House Denver that show a troubling trend.
9 News reporter Darius Johnson joins us in studio, and Darius, more young people are being impacted by domestic violence.
Yeah, it is, but that's just the reality. So far this year, more than 14,000 people throughout the state of Colorado have experienced domestic violence. Most of them are only in their 20s or 30s. In Denver alone, police have responded to more than 10,000 domestic violence calls so far this year. Safe House Denver further breaks down those numbers. They say in 2020, 20% of the cases in Colorado involved someone under the age of 25. In 2021, that number went up slightly to 23%. And as of September of this year, it's continued to rise to 25%. Safe House says this is the highest number of young people they've seen come forward to report domestic violence. But the important part is that they are coming forward.
We have wonderful resources available in the Denver community, and it's wonderful to see that young people are able to tap into those resources, and when it's safe and appropriate, they are reporting to law enforcement. And I also know that there likely are a number of young people experiencing domestic violence that are not reporting that abuse.
Domestic violence can show up in many different ways, and Safe House Denver says there are signs you can look out for. Signs like isolation, manipulation, control, and then the signs of abuse, whether that be verbal, physical, or mental. Coming up in the next hour right here on Channel 20, we'll dig a little bit deeper into the numbers and then talk about how you can help. Gary and Corey.
Darius, thank you. Appreciate it. So time is running out to mail your November ballot now. We're just 12 days, I should say, from Election Day in Colorado. But if you want to mail your ballot, it needs to be in the mailbox by next Monday. Don't forget 2 stamps. And after that, you will need to drop in one of the many drop boxes across the state, or you can always vote in person. Our team has created a full voter guide on our website right now, including how to find a drop box, how to register to vote. Just go to 9news.com. And a reminder, our final debate before Election Day is going to be tomorrow night. Our series of 6 political debates wraps up on Friday with the debate between Democratic Senator Michael Bennet and Republican challenger Joe O'Dea. It will air at 7 o'clock in the evening on Channel 9. It'll be live from CSU in Fort Collins. If you only listen to the scary sounding political commercials, you might be afraid to venture out of your home. Many are talking about all the rising crime.
This morning, we're giving you some context with new data from the FBI. Both violent crime and property crime are up in our state, but two experts in criminology warned our Steve Staker they always read crime stats with a grain of salt.
Crime is often an idiosyncratic phenomenon.
It can be easy to look at the data released this month by the FBI and draw some major conclusions. It is, after all, the source of those yearly splashy headlines, like listing the most dangerous cities in America.
I think crime statistics can be very useful for policymakers, right? We need to know, where is crime rising? Where is it falling? What type of crimes? What type of victims?
Aya Gruber is a former defense attorney and criminal law professor at CU.
I think that crime statistics have a tendency to trigger cultural narratives that aren't always all that helpful in making decisions in life and can really limit people and make them scared for no reason. They mostly lead you in a direction that is not evidence-informed, but politically informed.
The data from the FBI's Uniform Crime Report shows both violent crime and property crime in Colorado are up year to year and since before the pandemic. Andrea Borrego, the chair of MSU Denver's Criminal Justice Department, warns looking at stats so early can be dangerous.
We're not getting exactly the full picture since we're not going into what's actually being convicted, what's unfounded. And then obviously we just don't know what's not reported.
Both argue this data, and really any data on crime, provides very little context about why crime is committed.
We should always take statistics with a grain of salt, and you want to look more into what is actually happening in your area in particular.
And they warn getting to the root of any problem could take years.
We have a very persistent bias to the present. Like, this is something that is just right now and needs to be solved right now, when really you can look at a lot of these things as long-term trends.
This year, the FBI changed systems for reporting crime, now using a database that provides a lot more information like demographic data and information about weapons. Problem is, not every law enforcement agency in the country has this system, which means many are lagging in adding those numbers to the system.